Hello, everybody. This is WCOOP main event, $1,000 tournament, and the replay comes from Gullyboker TV. So I will be watching it, trying to give my strategy input, how I would play, what I'm thinking about it, or how I'm thinking about it, and let's see what's happening. Luis Dono coming in with a min raise with ace 10, a good stealing hand. Bowie effect, our good friend and coach. Tough decision. I think you want to let it go here. There we go, Bowie. Bowie's good. We did his $1 million win. Reviewed the whole hand history. If you want, go check out that. I'll leave a link in the description. So Ging over here, just a fold. You get like you're just playing very straightforward with 22 big blinds from the small blind against the EP open. So I don't recognize a lot of these guys to be fair. Gigi Gruchita should be a reg. Stek 94 is definitely a reg. Bowie effect, already talked about them. Luis Tonos should also be a reg. I do like some of these names are familiar for me, but I'm not 100% sure. People playing very slow, hey? Let's beat it up, boys. So the first place, as we can see, they made three-way deal. So the first place he got 44, 40, almost half a million. Can't even say these big numbers, eh? Okay, King can't really open this one. That would be kind of suicidal. But hey, who knows? Let's see what he wants to do. Why are these people so slow? Everybody hitting file label like open RFI situations. They just like tanking. That's kind of weird. Like play these spots like quickly in general. Like there is like if you want to play a hand, you can take like some time. But like if you have a3 on a button, like what we thinking? So Riverbank over here goes for a limp. So the general idea from the small blind should be you want to raise if you cover by this much, but whenever you get like 40 big blinds effective and deeper, without there like there are some short stack. You don't like mind having a limping range to be fair, but your strategy should still be like to pressure big blind over here. So Gruchita checks it back with queen 6. Can go either way. He's supposed to be isolating quite a bit there. Betting one on mono board here. I don't think it matters too much. You're primarily most likely supposed to be still playing a checking high frequency check in that spot, I imagine. So stick 8-5 suited goes to the mug. 9-9 DM. Our shorty queen 10 no. You want to let this one go probably. King with a6 over here. Just lets it go. Could arguably go for a steal. You do like the idea is you cover the big blind over here, right? So it's very tempting to actually go and steal. But if you think like button and small blind is going to give you a headache, ugh, still I imagine that one would like to steal. Trujita goes for a raise. Luis probably just gonna rip it in his face. Don't mind the call, but like you do have offsuit hand, you do have good blockers to the calling range. So from Gruchita's point of view, maybe jamming would be a little bit like there is offsuit hands often raising these type of spots, but like I don't really mind to go for a raise because offsuit hands do want to raise as well, but like because it's a middling hand, typically you will see those go all in. Even though offsuit hands they do mix into steals as well. Luis didn't want to go for a re-steal. Interesting. I don't mind it. I just think like you're probably fine. Crushita, like he will understand his bigger stack. There is a shorter stack on the table. He wants to pressure you. You should have a lot of fold equity. So I'm more in a camp. Let's jam King Chaco. But if you think Cruchita is super polarized, in that case the calling does make more sense. And if you expect him not to bluff as much, too much, Mm, check on the flop. Neither player should really have too many ace-6 to be fair. Crucita can definitely have more ace-6. Clicks for the call with the flush draw. Ah, yeah. Are we going to see a bluff from Crucita? He has the nut blocker. I think he's kind of booted in the middle. Nothing Luis Donald can do. Unless we have a hero, yeah. He just max pressures this one. The problem from Gruchita's point of view is what flushes can you really have? I guess you're still going to have some like ace queen like type of like two pairs and stuff like that. But because he did not jam pre-flop, he doesn't really have that many flushes, right? Because even if he had like suited connectors, suited gappers with hearts, you probably jam 12 big blinds, put the max pressure, right? So it doesn't really have that. A6 does A6 really, or A6 really going to go ahead and start checking on the flop. So the value part of Crucita's range can be very narrow. So he should be very aware of not over bluffing such line. Luis Dono needs to put it in the middle here. Steck has a spot where he probably needs to just call. It doesn't really matter for him if he has 30 or 40 big blinds, and we're losing Luis Dono, blind versus blind here. GG's for 36,000 US dollars. BBC Brieflop Sharks and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. So Absolute with the 17 big blinds over here. Let's go sixes. I like it. I like it. So with the short stacks, you want to have blocker hands, right? You like more to have like a6 than or king six suited type of hand than you want to have pocket sixes, because pocket sixes don't block the three bets, and for the most part, everyone's strategy should be to three bet or fold, right? So for those reasons, I do like the sixes fold. King then goes in. 99 DM has a decision. I don't think it's much of a decision. Nobody is like that short, so he needs to call it off. And he get there on the river for the double up. So now we have 10, 17, 17, 19 as a short stacks. King Hell with Ace King O. Definitely going to play this one. So I don't think he wants to have an open ripping range here. You just want to raise. You're raising tight range, so you don't really need to be like, hey, I have Ace King, I want to jam. I don't think you want to jam any hands there, to be fair. Crucita with Ace 5 suited. Can go either way. You can 3-bet. I think flatting will be good play. Uh, Letting it go makes a lot of sense. Stick or here with pocket eights. Ooh. I don't mind either way here. Letting it go does make most sense. But like, if you think King Hell, you get the faults from King Hell, you can 3-bet call him off, but like it's 20 big blinds. King Hell is probably not going to jam anything any worse pair, so at best case scenario you're going to flip. So I don't mind it. Bowie Queen 7 suited probably should needs to defend here. He covers the under the gun player, so he flops the middle bear. King Helgren, backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, two overs. Let's see what's going to happen over here. I don't mind either way on the flop. He can bet, he can check. I think he wants to range bet this spot, or like probably going to, you want to build some type of a checking range. So in ICM often you will see checking ranges being built more often. For Bowie, middle link pairs do two bet here, but with Queen 7 you probably don't want. You would like rather two bet like 6-7, 6-5, 8-7. like basically like that type of like 7x with something like back doors and lower ones. You kind of want your opponent to have king queen, ace queen, queen 10 type of hands. Ging thinking about double barreling. Goes deep in the dank. It's interesting from Bowie's perspective. If Bowie would expect King to mostly bet his Jack X, also think about what Jack X he can really have. He can have Ace Jack, King Jack, Queen Jack, Jack 10 suited, maybe. Jack 9 suited probably shouldn't really be opening, so it shouldn't really have that much Jack X in his range. He can definitely have some like 10s, 9s, I guess. But King Hell range, unless you think he's checking back on the turn with stronger Jack X, probably going to be around like ace highs often, maybe some like bottom, like middling bears like a7, like something like that. So Bowie goes for a small value bet there. I don't mind it. I think it's pretty good. King should probably call sometimes with ace highs. Kreutz, ace jack O on the cutoff. I'm gonna assume he's probably just going to put it in the middle. There we go. Hard to see anybody really calling here unless somebody wants to min click or like I don't know. There's not going to be much calling, I can tell you that. Or like it shouldn't be, but like hey, some people like to gamble. What can you do? Kuchitas, reduce suited. Let's go. Stake 94, the our chip leader, uh, with the rest of the table that has not folded. Going to open it up. Groats probably wants to let this one go. Every once in a while, you could like arguably click in a 3-bet bluff over here. This is hard to see that being like with these stacks. Hard to see it's going to be much of a thing to get in ace five suited. It could be though. It could be like solver does like sometimes these like one offs, so to speak. Hard to see like all the suited ace x being jammed there. Pocket queens, not much of a decision. You just need to put your money in the middle. Stick lets it go. Ace five can't really fold. You're committed at this point. You do hate your life. You know you basically know you're gonna have three outs here. Basically, you know it always. It's either against ace king or some pocket pairs. Like you're mostly going to have three outs there. At GG's Groats finishing 8th place for 51,000. Not that big a fan of that jam though. I wouldn't mind if he goes none all in general. Grujitas opening with pocket fours. Feels kind of close-ish. The problem over here opening is like there are short stacks and then there are stacks that all cover you, so you're kind of in the middle. Other than 99 DM, right? So pocket four is not the greatest stealing hand. Even though like the big blind previous hand Riverbank had a big stack, so like I don't think it matters too much though. I would have probably let it go myself though. King with 5-4 suited. He is the shortest stack, but there is another 15 big blind stack. So whenever you're like 13 big blinds and the other guy, some guy has 15 big blind, doesn't really matter. You can think like, hey, you both kind of the same. I would say there ain't that much of a difference in terms of like what your stack is worth. A little bit like risk premiums can change here and there, a little bit over there. Again, kind of similar scenario over here with 50 big blinds. You should want to go more towards aggressive lines and put pressure on the big blind in these type of spots. But limping, because it's so deep, probably okay. Like I don't mind that strategy. Cheetah with 9 high, rear bank king high. I'd see do to get too much action over here with these holdings. Unless somebody's going to be very crazy and starts running some bluffs, which is not like super crazy. Kuchita can definitely have like ace x, queen x, jack x, and like, hey, needs to have bluffs. So, oh, he reversed the 9. Riverbank will have so many hands to bluff here. I think with King High, you probably find to like hope it to go check check and take it down, or like if Cruchita has a king, they will split it. As Cruchita probably never betting a king or like close to never, right? So there is definitely showdown value with a king high. The question over here is: do you want to value bet your 9 and try to get called by king high? And like 8, 7, sixes, and like all those small bears? Probably not. A little bit would have been a little bit too much. Probably. Absolute letting go that one. A6, king hell, pocket trees. Man, a lot of people in this final level have like kind of like close decisions. I'm gonna say you just want to let it go at 13 big blinds. I don't mind the jam though. It's just like jamming into bigger stacks. There is only one small stack, so maybe it's like fine. The idea is like pocket trees, even if it's going to be a jam, it's going to be zero EV. Or like basically zero EV. Maybe 0.01 if you have lucky, so to speak. So I wouldn't mind to let it just go. So Bowie with ace 10 over here, opening it up. Kuchita thinking about it with king trio. I think you want to start 3-betting that far down. Like suited king x, sure, stuff like that. But like offsuit, nah. Stick over here by governing Bowie. It's very likely he's fine either way if he calls or 3-bets. Because whenever you're like 40 big blinds plus deep, you do see these calling ranges coming in. 3-bet bluffing also makes a lot of sense still. For Bowie, I think Bowie can call here. Uh, could arguably fire a 4-bet click if you feel feel like it. We were banged with ace 10 suited, gruchitas with mamacitas. This is like interesting spot. This is a spot where like you're against a bigger stack, you're 40 big blinds, so this is going to be probably a high frequency call with the low frequency mixes to the 3-bet, to 3-bets in general. So he goes ahead and fires a 3-bet. No, that's fine. Like you're most likely supposed to be still mixing, even though you often see like you want to call very high up. Still like queens, jacks, even you can see like tens and nines quite a bit mixing here. Like quite a bit, I mean like on a lower end, probably less than 25% of the time. Queens could be mixing actually higher frequency here. It's higher up a hand, but like just the way this 3-betting spots work. Riverbank at 40 big blinds effective. You do mostly use a 4-betting strategy. You don't do that much calling, but because whenever you get like 40 big blinds and deeper, you do actually see a little bit calling. Like calling definitely will come in, especially when you cover somebody. So Gruchitas going to fire up a small bet over here. So Cruchita's like another thing to think about as a Cruchita here is what bluffs did you have? Did you only bluff suited ace-x or like ace-x? Right? Because then most of your range is going to be ace-x. So now it's a king. If you bluff a king x, those are probably the hands you're looking to bluff pre-flop. Queens will now be probably like bottom of your range because all your bluffs will be a6 and king x pre-flop. Maybe some like queen jack suited here and there or something like that. But like for the most part, you are 3-betting a6 and king x. Once you bet, I don't even think on a king turn queens will really win too often. Like you're going to win against like nines, tens, and jacks, but like those would be also bottom range for Riverbank. So both players kind of in a situation where like queens and worse pairs are going to be bottom of their range, I would say. Meaning they would have to bluff it, so queens don't really have showdown value. Bets 10 over here. I would imagine it's not that like Riverbank needs to bluff pairs over here. Cruchita, I think, has pretty simple decision to either jam or call. Because if you, from Cruchita's perspective, I think pocket queens over here actually very good to bluff because you blocking ace queen of spade. You blocking basically all the suited queen x, which are the first hands that Riverbank would call. So if you jam, you're kind of blocking top of the ace x range, so to speak. And it's not simple for Riverbank to start calling for split, so to speak, or like basically ace 10 would be a bluff catcher. And yeah, I don't mind the bluff there actually. I don't really mind that. But if you think your Riverbank would be under bluffing, then just let it go. 9-9 DM with the ace queen suited on the button, coming in with a raise. Bowie effect will let this one go. Absolutely, the queen deuce. You just have to let these ones go in final labels. Just too weak. Like that's like a biggest like thing with GPV and ICM is like your offsuit hand defense on the big blind in general are just so bad. Like compared to GPV. In GPV you see often like weak offsuit hands defend. As in ICM you rarely see that. Riverbank with ace 5 open makes a lot of sense because the blinds are so short. You want to kind of open towards blockers. I don't mind it. 9-9 DM, good fire 3-bet with King Jack O. I don't think King Jack O wants to flat there though. You will have flatting range. I just don't think it will be that far down. Bowie has sevens. You probably want to flat sevens. It's probably indifferent though. It kind of comes down to how wide he thinks the Riverbank is going to open here as well. But yeah, flatting makes the most sense. King Eye board. I think Riverbank can go either way. Mostly you will very likely want to just play high frequency check. Bowie kind of similar, doesn't really matter. One thing to mention here is you don't really want to play a big pot if you're Bowie against Riverbank. Or like there are very few hands that would really like to do it, like pocket sixes. If you flat pocket kings, maybe like I don't think you're gonna flat, but like could see that being a thing. But other than that, pocket threes, are you really flatting? Probably not. So you only have like sixes, maybe let's say shoot a little bit pocket kings, maybe ace king if you flat that. But other than that, you don't really have any hands that wants to play for a stack. So going for a checking, and even if you have king queen, king jack, king 10 doesn't really matter. You're not looking to play for stacks. So Bowie lets it go on turn. I think that's fine. It looks like some type of action will happen over here. 99 DM with ace jack O. Most likely we're going to see him opening it up. And Bowie with ace king O. Kind of basically the same stacks. And then there is like 13 big blind stacks over there. From Bowie's perspective, like he probably wants to have a flatting range here. Not very wide. A couple of hands that would just like to flat. But you do, with ace king O, you just want to 3-bet, I kind of feel. You could possibly mix it in, but like, in solver, it wouldn't shock me to see ace king O exactly want to mix a jam here. Like Ace King O might do that. Like there would be also like you sometimes see strategy where only jamming hand you're really going to have here is Ace King O. So wouldn't shock to see me that or see that in general. So 30 big blinds effective. As a hijack player with Ace Jack, you can fire. You're probably supposed to mix a non all in four bets there, and just folds. The all in, non all in four bets comes down to like, do you expect Bowie is bluffing you enough? Do you because you want to get the folds if you go for the bluff, right? And you shouldn't really have a calling range, or like the calling range is such a small part of your game. Don't really do that. If you have 30 big blinds in final table, somebody three bets you and you're out of position, just if you think your hand is good enough to go to play, you should probably just go all in for the most part. A6 O over here, King Hell going all in on the button. I'm more of a fan to go for a steal with A6 O there. I don't mind, like it's probably still going to be slight plus EV play to jam, but like you are going to have a raising range there to non all in size, so to speak, like min raise, because you if you have aces, kings, queens, your top of the range wants to raise. So because of that, like A6O makes a lot of sense to also put in that range because you really want to have it. BBC Brieflop Shards and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. Ace 10 on under the gun over here for 99 DM. Wow, lets it go. I don't think that you're going to let that one go, to be fair. That just feels a little bit too tight. You still want to open something like hard to see that's going to be a play. Like it's very hard. Yeah, don't really believe that's going to be a play. I'll like if somebody was like he's getting three bet and like the table is crazy, maybe you want to like tighten up, but like your opening range already is so tight that you shouldn't really be worried about it, because if you're opening like the less than 15% of the time, like you're just like super strong hand, right? It's like just strong hands. You don't really need to worry about it. Ace 10 would be your bottom, right? So if you face the three bet, you just let it go, or you four bet bluff. Up to you, right? So King L with 10-8-0 over here. Yeah, I don't understand these like tankings in these type of spots. Like, not sure why is that that's keep happening. Just beat it up, bro. Crushita 6-3-0. Small blind covers you. You're not going to play. So this is a spot where two shorties. So Steck probably in GTO would like to jam this hand. I'm gonna assume it's still going to be a jam rather than just a raise. I don't mind the raise, but like it's a middling hand, and you want to put the max pressure to the B blind. Unless he thinks like B blind is going to call the jams off way too wide. In that case, you cannot really go for the jamming strategies in general. So Queen Jack O on the big blind clicks the call button. We do see a small C bet from Steck over here. I think based on Ace 10 O fault, 99 DM bro, just gonna let it go here. Stick has a lot of cards that he can barrel in the dirt as well with Jack 8 of hearts, right? Backdoor flush draws, all the connecting straight cards. Like quite often you will, not that often, but like you will see pretty frequent double barrel there from Stick. Once Stick has that hand. River Bang opening up is 5-0. Kuchita with 10-7-0, letting it go. Stick 10-8-0, letting it go. At least one would think so. King 4-0, letting it go. Like, hard to see you playing. You didn't play Ace 10-0 under the gun, so. But we fixed with 10-9-0. This is like your bottom-ish defend over here, I imagine, from against high peak stack high check. So I'm imagining this will be called by Bowie over here. I think you want to three bet without the blocker here. Wow, Bowie lets that one go as well, huh? Interesting. I don't mind it. It should be like the bottom. In my mind, that is like the bottom defender against Riverbank. What you would expect Riverbank to open. It could be also mixing to a fault though. Those hands do mix to a fault, so it doesn't matter really. Stick, letting it go. Riverbank opening ace 4-0. I like these opens. With high card hands, you have nice blockers. Big blind king 4-0, you're just gonna let it go again. You can't play these offsuit hands, as I mentioned earlier. Just not much of a thing. Crucita with pocket tens. I imagine he's going to open it up. Everybody is getting like the blind level going up. Everybody's getting like shorter and shorter. Pao is going to have a decision over here. The decision with Ace Jack O. I'm gonna imagine he's just going to go for non all in 3-bet with Ace Jack O. But hey, let's see what happens. I don't think you will have much of a calling, but anywhere if you have a calling range here, it's going to be on a button with these stack depths. But for the most part, like whenever you have offsuit hand, that's like a very simple thing. If you have offsuit hand and somebody opens and you're in position and you think you're supposed to be calling, likeliness is you're always supposed to be three betting it as well. So Bowie goes ahead and fires a small three bet. Cruchita's like I don't think Rachita should have much of a calling range here. Just play all in or fold. If you think Bowie is going to bluff enough, you just want to jam. So I think his strategy should be just rip it in. Even though he used kind of small sizing, I still think you just play four bet non. You play four bet like with this stack, you can go four bet non in. Really, like you can, but like the bluffing frequency will be very small there, like 10-15% with these stacks if you start clicking. It's just like, yeah. And for with Bowie, like against Bowie, like I would always just strip the dens in because Bowie will still have like quite a wide range of hands played like that. So now he calls. It's a king high board. It's kind of weird. Like, what am I supposed to be doing with pocket tens? Like, Bowie fires a small C bet. You call with pocket tens, but like, what else can you really do? You call once. What now if Bowie is going to bluff again? Yeah, it's just like if you think your hand is good enough to call, it's probably good enough to rip it in. So just rip it in. From Bowie's perspective, you want to keep barreling here quite a bit. You don't like all you basically have is Ace Jack, Ace Queen if you choose to three bet that. Some King X, but King X is top pair, so Ace Jack, Ace 10, like Ace highs are basically your bluffs, and if you're choosing to bluff Ace 5, Ace 3, Ace 4, Ace 6, those hands would like to probably check back the turn and take the equity. So Ace Jack and Ace 10 really are kind of where your bluff should come from here. I don't think you always need to barrel, but like, yeah, just makes sense to keep firing. And there you go, pocket tens. Yeah, and like the flat. So in general, playing out of position sucks in poker, right? And in ICM, you don't want to bluff catch. And with pocket tens, what happened there is you bluff catching. That's why you want to, as an out of position player, you often just play all in or fold when you face a three bet under dirty big blinds. That's like that's what your strategy really should be for the most part. There are a little bit calling here and there does happen. It is possible tens mix into a call pre-flop, but why you making the game tree more complex for yourself? Like 2.5x Bowie? That's interesting that he chose different opening size. I would imagine you still want to do a min raise. But like I haven't really like doesn't in general. Don't worry about the size. It doesn't really matter too much. Just use like 2x, 2.2x. There are some spots where 2.5x and that does come in, but like TVs are very marginal and stuff like that. So Bowie fires up C-bet over here. Rearbank is like, you're not loving the life, even though you have bottom bear, but Bowie's opening range should connect with this type of board quite heavily. Then on the turn, so the question for Riverbank is Bowie betting, how much 10x does Bowie bet on the flop? And because Riverbank will have 10x, so he's most likely going to have a leading range on the turn there. Because he's going to have drips. And if you think Bowie is not betting a lot of 10x, then there will be Riverbank will have way more drips than Bowie. Like he should already have that, but like it will come out even more. And the leading frequency should go up in that case. So Bowie checks back on the turn. Riverbank with the 6 here. It's probably still gonna have different bluffs like King Queen, Queen 9 type of hands to bluff. You don't really need to use your bottom bear. And Bowie gives it up. Stick with 5-3. Oh, I going to assume it's going in the muck as it did. So everybody's going to fold, I imagine, to Absolute. And Absolute will put all the chips in the middle for 7.8 big blinds with pocket eights. Hard to see anybody going ahead and start calling here, to be fair. Just like Queen 8, it's 8 big blinds. Nah. You will be too far behind to make such calls. So over here, 980. Let's go. Falls to King Hell. So as a King Hell, you kind of want to have a blocker hand here. So 8 and suited, I like the default there. Crucita with 15 big blinds against the bigger stack. You can really let it probably go here. I don't mind the limp though. I don't mind it. You could possibly just raise as well. Like 15 big blinds, you see a raising range is coming in here. But if he folded, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. Because there are due shorter stacks. Yeah, like this is what's going to happen. Like it's going like imposition player just going to isolate you. It's just a bad spot. I'm not sure how much I like 4-3 suited ISO though, because like suited hands have decent equity. You typically just want to take your equity with such hand. If you had like 5 deuce suited or something like that, that would make more sense to raise. So Bowie opens up with Ace Jack O under the gun. It's going to be let go. Like everybody should actually fold here, I think. Maybe Stick wants to brush her? Nah. So Queen 8 you just want to let go. Bowie is opening very likely somewhat like tight-ish range. You're not going to do very well against Bowie's opening range. You're in the middle of the back. You just want to let it go. Very nice fold. So we're still 700. River Bang with King 8 This is a little bit too wide to open, I think. Not the end of the world, but like probably slightly too wide. So stick with 94 with Ace Jack over here because it's 40 big blinds against 60 big blinds. I don't mind the 3-bet bluff. I don't mind the call either. Like you get to go very high up as a stack here. That's how you, so to speak, play against the big stack over here. 9-9 DM with Ace Queen. Oh hi. You probably just want to rip it in though. Riverbank probably just opening wide range of hands. Stick might be or like likely to try to just attack that. Even though if Stick calls you and you have Ace Queen, you are not happy. But I think you just need to let that one go. So Riverbank with pocket queens. Stick goes ahead and fires another 3-bet. I don't mind a fault there, though, to be fair. Like 3-bet is okay. So this deep, Riverbank can definitely click calls as well. Whenever you 40 big blinds plus, there will be a calling range. And if you think Stek's value range is like, let's say kings plus, ace king suited, a little bit queen jacks, stuff like that, ace king o maybe, you're not really that happy to jam queens, because once you start jamming queens, what's going to happen is like, well, you're getting called aces and kings and ace king suited, so you're not really doing that well against the calling range. So the call makes sense. So Riverbank's leads, then 9-7. That's a very interesting strategy. I guess he's just thinking like, hey, I'm going to have sevens, I'm going to have nines, I'm going to have tens, I'm going to probably have then nine suited. Like, I think he should, but like maybe the way he's thinking about it, he's still going to have jacks, still going to have probably queens, or like we see, Riverbank does have queens. So Imposition player really has aces and kings. Maybe shoot tens, jacks, but like I don't really mind that strat. I guess it's just like Riverbank just wants to pressure, because what is Tech going to do if he has ace king here? Like even king 10 over here, right? It's not ideal spot, not ideal spot for, and he lets it go. Like he understands, like yo, this is not good. So very interesting strategy choice, but I like it. I might actually run it. We'll see. Knight 9 DM with Queen 7-0 on the cutoff. Let's it go. Bowie, super simple. Let's get it in with Ace 8-0. Ace 8-0 would fall into in the middling hands. You do want to have a raising range to non all in, because you still want to raise non all in with the very top of your range. But Ace 8-0 is just too strong. You just want to rip it in their faces. Crucita with pocket uses 14 big blinds. Whenever you have small player here, 14 big blinds, you want to have those blocker hands, and yeah, you just let go small bears. Like have ace deuce with it, that's better. You block a6. So stack coming in with min raise. 9-9 DM with king 7 suited. Let's see go. Riverbank with queen 10-0. Probably just going to go ahead and defend. Flop stop pair. If you're a stack, you definitely want to have a checking range here. Like very similar to the previous situation where like you don't really want to play for stacks, even if you have like in most runouts, you're just not going to play for stacks. There are probably hands like it's going to open tens, it's going to open eights, it's going to have jacks plus, but typically you kind of want to just be like, hey, let's kind of check it down and not collide, because there are two very short stacks, or like three short stacks, really. Could even say maybe four. So you're going to have definitely a betting range, but it doesn't really make sense to me to bet too frequently in general. On the turn, this sizing is not going to be much of a thing. You could see a mix like with ace jack, very difficult to see this being a play, and the reason for that would be you don't want to play for stacks with ace jack, right? Out of position player can super easily have a flush, so I would say that bet size on the turn is not going to be a thing. Over here, not a big fan of that. If he wants to use like sizing up with not flushes, he will open suited king x and like have a couple of those. But it's going to be very like rather smaller frequency play in general. So not a big fan on that turn sizing with ace jack. I guess he bet because he wants to check back, but like I don't think that's much of a play. Your ace jack basically not worth that much money there to play like that. Queen Jack O for Riverbank, just ripping it in. That's good play. just max pressure. So we're gonna see fold, 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 and question does king hell puts it in. I do think you should be putting it in. You have ace 10. It is a little bit different. Like, if you're not used to playing for this type of money in general, you might be like way too tight and at times. Like he finds it. But like the idea is you just want to make the best decisions, right? Even though you're playing at that point, it was probably like 800k for first, 700k for first, but you are short stack. You if you want to get that money, you need to make good decisions, like playing super tight and not finding it. Finding all the strategies that you need to find is not going to get you there, right? If you're choosing to play too tight, what's happening is you maybe getting a ladder or two and you're out, right? Because you're just falling to zero, so to speak. So Riverbank coming in with a queen 5 suited over here. Love to see this one. Kind of decent blocker. Kuchita with pocket 4s. Stack with pocket 3. Man, this is some tough spots. Pocket 4s. Probably a jam actually in Solver or a mix. Solver likes to mix pocket 4s. I don't know why. It's just one of those hands. There's like 5s and even sometimes pocket 7s and stuff. Pocket 4s if somebody open. I can see Solver just mixes his pocket 4s there. Riverbank with Jack 6 suited, then he's just putting the pressure on, huh? Crucitas with Queen 3 suited, not much you can do. Snake is having a situation here. It's probably mixed to anything. 3-bet, call, fold, all the options should be fine. Bowie with Queen Jack suited on the big blind. Seems very simple. Let's call. Seven, 6-4 for Bowie over here. Thinking if there is leading range, you should kind of ties to what Bowie is like. Bowie should cover 7 high boards way better than Riverbank. So probably has small leading over here. And it goes Jack Jack. Riverbank with turns the drips. I don't think Bowie want like again. Bowie don't want to like whatever you have as a Bowie here. You don't want to play for stacks. You don't want to build these spots because you're playing against big chip leader, and you happy with your 34 big blinds. And if you have even like let's say you have like trips, you're happy to have 40 big blinds. It doesn't really like make that much difference. Sure, if you have full house and trips, you do actually want to like play for a little bit bigger bot, but your mentality should always be like, hey, I'm second in chips. There is a big stack. I don't want to collide with this guy, so you're taking a lot of passive lines and you go with super bowler and small bet sizes in general to get like, so to speak, some value. But you're not looking to really get all the money in. It's not going to be good for you in general. So Pauio is 9-0 over here. Very simple. He's going to go all in. And absolute, very simple strategy to play. Just click fold with 9, do so. Rear bang with pocket tens. So Stack is going to fold. 990M is going to muck his 4-3-0. Bowie can't really play it. Wow, the big blind folded. Hey, I think the big blind still should be like defending or jamming often, because he like Riverbank is opening such a wide range of hands. It might feel kind of counterintuitive, but like you probably still want to click a call over here there. You need to play very tight, but like that's probably a little bit too high up to fold. Because the Riverbank's range is so wide, right? King 2 so, let it go, everybody letting it go, damn. This gets very interesting, hey? people like that's the most fun I think. Even with like previous replays I have done, like the Donka one, Lena one, like whenever the stacks get this short, it's so much more fun. Look, people struggle. Like, sure, Ace King suited over here, like it's not a struggle, but it's like, it gets way more interesting than like deeper stacks, so to speak. Often uh Jack Nine, so you're probably just gonna let this one go on the big blind. It is five big blinds though. Could be a call, but like, nah. Probably calling like Queen Jack suited, so it's not that far off. Unless like another thing is like they don't see what other players play. Actually, I think that like there was probably a PokeStars replay or coverage. So 30 minutes later, you actually see what people are playing and what they had. And if you're thinking like, hey, these short stacks are playing way too tight, they're not really finding the jamming ranges. You do want to tighten up your calling ranges as well because, like, well, they don't really jam what they're supposed to be jamming, right? 8-3-0, you want to let this one go on the small blind there. So Bowie going to open up King Queen O. At least one would expect that to happen. So we're kind of similar spot over here for the big blind. He needs to defend, but it is like a little bit different. Bowie cannot open much here. So Bowie's opening range will be very capped to like, if I had to guess, he's probably opening less than 20% to be fair. And because of that, 9-9 DM should be tight, but Jack 10 suited is too wide. Or like it's still strong enough to defend here. I don't think you want to really go ahead and jam because if whenever Bowie opens very tight range, you don't really do that. Like the jam, whenever somebody opens tight range, the jamming doesn't really happen as much anymore because the fold equity, like there ain't that much fold equity. And whenever somebody opening wide range and jam wide, they need to call wide, so you're doing kind of well against the calls, right? But if they open tight, it's like the goaling tight, so I don't mind the jam there, I guess, with Jack Tensit, but like I think it's just way too tight to not defend. That means you're basically defending like 10% of hands probably against RFIs, Bowie's RFIs. So Bowie can actually most likely to expand his RFI steal there because P-Plan is not defending. Unless Bowie thinks the River Bang is going to just 3-bet too much. But even if he 3-bets too much, like, I wouldn't be that worried if you can just counter it with 4-bets, right? Because if he falls too much to 4-bets, he's leaking EV as well. Like Queen 6-0, like this is definitely out of line. But you're putting pressure. This is like one of the biggest tournaments of the series, right? With this top much money on top. Absolutely, just goes all in. I like it. Rear bank opening too wide, so you have them big blinds. You might think like, hey, I don't really. Typically, you would think like, it doesn't have much fold equity. But over here, it's not true. Rear bank opening Queen 6-0, right? He's probably opening 70% of the hands. Even if he calls like 10%, you're getting so many folds. Like, imagine some people might be even calling with like 6-7%. So he's folding probably 90% of the time. So your counter actually against peak stack, pushing it too far with open raises is to 3-bet against them because they cannot defend mathematically. Like they good, but people are not, so they end up overfolding. AKA, you're going to end up making way more profit by expanding your jamming ranges. So Stick over here with 970 is going to let it go. 99 DM, Pocket Force is going to let it go, and I'm going to like that decision based on the way he have been playing. Pocket Force, I think you want to jam. I think you want to go for a steal. Ace King go over here. I'm not sure I'm that big of a fan. Like again, you have a you have always kind of the range that you want to raise and steal, and you want to with your aces, Ace King suited, jacks, queens. You want to have that those steals because you want your opponents to like in this case, like you would have probably get rear bank to jam and you go and you happy. So you don't want to play very straightforward. You're always going to have a min raising range. King Hell, Ace 7-0, rear bang Ace Queen, and we are losing King Hell for seven plays for $72,000. But yeah, like you don't really like you always like seven big blinds and more. You basically aces and kings will always want to min raise, and ace king suited often is also going to be in that range. So I'm not a big fan of the ace king suited jam there. Obviously it's plus EV. Pocket tens over here with them 11 big blinds. You can have a jamming range. So let it go. Go all in. Wow, he's really considering it. Yeah, he goes not all in. So if you see this like half stack investment, it's just all in. It's just like people do it because in some cases maybe you get to fold if let's say three people go all in or something like that. That makes sense. Rear bang again, kind of out of line over. Actually, over here maybe it's not that out of line because you can build the jamming range on the god off here. So if you can build a jamming range, then you can raise bottom of your range, which would be Queen 4-0, but still kind of feels a little bit out of line. So let's see what's going to come. Nines against Queen. Oh my god. GG Grujitas. 101,000 US dollars, huh? Unlucky, man. Rurbang obviously runs very good here. 99 DM. Still do like this. This one I would probably let it go. You don't want to jam this one. You do jam a lot here. Bowie is probably just going to like as a Bowie. You can even repeat in here 30 beaks. You can go non all in. I'm not sure you want to call. Wouldn't be the end of the world, but like Rearbank just showed he opens Queen 4-0, right? So as a Bowie, you're probably just going to 3-bet this. Yeah, like it just goes all in. You can go non all in and just call off the jams as well. I think it's like a big deal. I don't think you want to call once rear bang this wide. Yeah, I guess in Bowie's head he wasn't sure about non all in, so he just rips it in. Like basically, if my thought process would be like, I'm not sure if I can non all in, I would always know the jamming will be answered there, so I would just jam myself. But I think non all in will also be the answer there. Stick with that nine. It's nine. 8-7 suited. Let's it go. Good. 9-5-0 is going to be fold. 9-5, 8-5. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Calling the cards. Power is going to open up Mamacitas. Come on, ladies. Get to work. 2.5x. Bowie with like opening like the idea the idea why Bowie chooses the bigger opening size into a river bank is Bowie understands he needs to be tight here. If Bowie needs to be tight here, he wants to charge more, so his size is up. That's like the logic. So absolute going all in with ace 4 suited there. I am not 100% sure that is going to be a correct play. And the reason is Bowie should be extremely tight for bottom layer. So jamming ace for this is probably okay-ish, but like, ugh. Unlucky for Bowie with pocket queens. Rear bang with pocket queens. So you just want to raise this. That's nice. You don't want to jam again. You will build non all in ranges often. So pocket queens, kings, aces, first hands you think you want to do it, right? So ace 9 suited, you can go different ways. You can actually call there as well. Maybe ace 9 would be too high up. You just want to jam. But like some suited ace 6 will actually play as a call on these lines. So I'm not sure about ace 9 suited. Maybe it's just too strong. But like I would imagine ace 9, ace 8, ace 7, maybe ace 6 would like to call there as suited part. Rear banged, another queens. Stick with king 10 suited. Let's it go on the button. Ooh, ooh. Based on how Riverbank is playing, I think with king 10 suited, you probably find a call there. It's in equilibrium. I would think it's probably mostly calling, a little bit three betting. Could be also folding some. That's where basically the line is, the king 10 suited, right? So stick opens up with king 10 0, absolute calling with 10 7 suited. So stick sizes it up on the flop. I think if you're absolute, you just want to call here. The problem is you can't really go all in or start raising and trying to get it in because stick is sizing it up with like queen 10, king 10, ace 10, right? So whenever you're getting called or so to speak, you're going to run it over here, you're in a bad shape unless Steck is going to put in flush draw or some type of a draw, right? So I'm not a big fan of Den 7. I think he should have played as a call. Once you see a size up, like he's not going to size up with pocket nines, right? So for those reasons, I do think you should be just calling there because your hand would be, so to speak, qualify as a bluff catcher on the flop. Sure, you like it doesn't work like that exactly, but like it is a bluff catcher. You don't beat value, so to speak. So absolute with pocket checks with 20 big ones, you get to have a RFI range. I would imagine pocket checks would want to raise first in here quite a bit. Not the end of the world to limp though. So you flop a top set. Doesn't matter what you do. Just bet. Rear bank probably just wants to play as a call here. Absolute now wants to size up, I think. You like if you have a set over here, you kind of want to get paid. And another thing over here is if Riverbank has straight or better hand somehow, you're going to go all in either way, right? Like he's going to put the money in. So I would like him to pay me when he has flush draws, when he has Jack X, some Queen X, 10X. Like he might not put all the money in with those hands. So this type of spots, I do think, even though the logic would be like, hey, don't want to play such a big pots against big stack, but like over here, blind versus blind, you have top like second set on the turn, like you need to invest more money. I feel on the river, you probably still want to bet with the set. Even though it is dicey, Riverbank can definitely have some straights and flushes. Wow, he just smash it. Oi, oi. Tough spot. Tough spot for bucket jacks. You don't beat the value. He's not value betting worse sets or two pair like this. It's just straights and flushes, right? So the question is, where does the bluffs come from in position player? On this type of runout, it probably needs to bluff some bears, maybe. It should have actually some like nine highs, like nine seven with one diamond type of hands. That yeah, maybe it doesn't really need to bluff the bear. It's not that simple to find the bluffs though. I kind of feel it's not that simple for most people. So I would be more in the camp like let's let it go as a absolute against the overbet. But he did click the call. Queen Jack O, you probably get to still open this one. I'm more in the camp like I wouldn't like the min raise. King 9-0 over here. Just puts it in the middle. 99 DM 84. You need to call this. This is too high up in your range. You just click the call. Hope for the best. What's going on? Like everybody getting sucked out, huh? GG 99 DM getting fifth place for $142,000. Not bad payday though. Not bad at all. GG's. So rear bank coming in with open with ace deuce so from God off. Absolute, let's go. BBC Brieflop Sharks and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. So, Absolute with King 9 over here being a short stack. Can go either way. Limp, raise, all in. I don't think that's going to matter too much over here. And rear bang finds a call with a6. GG Absolute. Cashing it for almost 200,000 US dollars. Not a bad payday. So I don't know at what point the deal was made now, but it's going to change the way it's going to be played out. Because as soon as the deal is being made, there will be GPV. It will not be ISM anymore because only first place will get paid. I will pay attention to chat over here. So Stack goes ahead and limps, Bowie raises. But it is possible that they made a deal directly, so I do not know. Very interesting in that sense because it's going to the game changes quite a bit uh, with that. So Bowie goes ahead and limps 10-9 suited. King 3, you can ISO, you can check back. I don't think it matters. Bowie goes for a check. Imagine he's going like check call, check raise. Both should be fine. Small, not small, like 2/3 of a bet by Riverbank. Yeah, Bowie either going to call or raise here. Clicks a call. Interesting turn card. Both players can have still 5x in their range. Definitely can. Both can also have flushes. Riverbank probably ups to check here. Gonna have some showdown value now. Oh, yo, big boy bet, hey? No checking for a Riverbank. Yeah, I'm wondering if I think it shows in the chat if they go for the deal. I'm not 100% sure though. I'm gonna assume there is no deal being made yet. So Riverbank goes for limp here. So at this point, three-handed, you're going to have decent amount of limps. It's not like when it's 600, 600, 500, 700, 900 that you want to pressure. The risk premiums will go actually down three-handed. Like if you look at the average stacks, the risk premiums are quite a bit down at that point. So Riverbank with ace 10 opens up. Stack with ace king O. I would assume we're gonna see a nice 3-bet over here. There we go. Riverbank probably just stops to call. 4-betting non all in wouldn't be terrible either. But I think like standard play would probably for most people be to call here. He is definitely thinking about it though. Yeah, he goes for it. He's gonna get bad news though. He's gonna get bad news. So if you stack, I think you want to flat ace king O here. You're just ripping in his face. Power ace for suited. So typically you want to jam offsuit hands, offsuit ace-6 over here, not suited ones. Would be the end of the world to just open rip it, but for the most part, I think you will be is going to go for limp. He did up to jam, that's fine. Those wheel aces do jam at times as well. So now Riverbank and Stack are kinda close, 60 beaks, 75 beaks. so not that big of a deal. Riverbank can definitely still you open raise these spots quite aggressively. I like the 9-7. Like often the raising come like your raise bluffs come from like 9-7, Jack 9, King 9, like that type of cards. But we King Deuce O over here against the Riverbank. I'm gonna assume about like you want to let it go. Like the dynamics did change in sense of like Bowie is definitely very short compared to everybody else, so he might want to expand. He goes for a 3-bet nano lane. That makes a lot of sense as well. You just mix these like smaller offsuit king X, smaller offsuit ace X. Those are all being mixed to a 3-bet nano lane. Riverbank, I'm gonna assume goes for a call here. You might think Bowie might be overdoing it and just ripping Bowie's face. Very awkward stack to bot ratio over here with 14 big blinds behind and 12.3 in the middle. So as a big blind, you do have these give ups in these type of spots because you don't really have value to support range betting often from the big blind. Riverbank having open ender or open ender, a gut shot probably fires a small c bet. I don't mind the check back, but you definitely want to start bluffing, or you would expect that 10-9 will bluff at some point on various runouts. Kind of similar to flop because you're gonna have give ups. Some give ups are just like you're not really like some parts of your range on most runouts you will see from the big blind is just like you just give up. You don't go even for the bluff. But very hard to see Bowie winning here. Yeah, it just folds. It's a quick hand. Bowie with ace 3 is suited over here. Ay, ay, ay. This looks like a trouble. You can definitely jam. You can go for an all in or like just min raise here. Does look good if it jams though. Ay, ay. Jamming into stack queens. Ace on the flop though. Wow. There we go. Bowie back up to 28 big blinds. So Riverbank opens Queen Jack O. Probably another spot where like three betting is definitely going to be a good strategy choice. Don't mind calling either. I think calling is fine as well. But occasionally you want to mix in a three bet. 8-7 deuce. Bowie checks to Riverbank. I'm gonna assume that he's going to bet at the frequency. He definitely will have a checking range here. Once he sizes up, it's kind of hard for Bowie to be fair. He needs to defend some overcards, I imagine. But he only has one overcard, but it is with a backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. Raising would be also like interesting play from Bowie here. Yeah, there we go, there we go. So he has backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. Just check raising does make a lot of sense with such holdings. Calling kind of ugh, so I like it. Stack with Jack 10-0, probably opening it up on the button. Bang with Queen Deuce suited. Should be pretty easy defend. King, King, Queen. Rear bank checks to Stack. Stack has a decision that's very small over here. As a riverbank, it's going to be difficult to start check raising here with weak Queen X. Those mostly just want to go for a call. Stack turns straight. It's actually a very bad card for riverbank. If he riverbank having a queen, well, if Stack was bluffing with ace high, those are all ahead now. Riverbank does have some ace X played like this though. What's the sizing going to be? Wow, he goes slight overbet. Hmm. Interesting. I guess he just thinks like King X will just check raise mostly on the flop, so it doesn't really matter. Even if he doesn't check raise King X, like you kind of have the nuts there. We check then. So Riverbank goes for a limp. Queen nine suited checks it back. I think we're gonna see a bet here. I think you can go either way though. It's very like the way you can think about it is like, does your range want to bet? As soon as the answer is not a range bet, most of there won't be many hands that want to always bet. That's just the way it's going to work in general. Can definitely see a little check raise over here with a backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. I think Stick can let it go though, because he has two overs and a backdoor flush draw. Interesting lines though, very interesting. Could he fire a three bet? Nah, right? Oh wow, damn son. I think Riverbank can do my like. Maybe there will be some meta clicking game starting here. No, that would be kind of sick though. We're back with bucket queens again. Yeah, I had a lot of queens in this final level, I must say. So Bowie with King 9-0. Mostly you just want to call. Occasionally firing a little 3-bet ski should be fine. Doesn't look like the best flop for Bowie. Bowie probably loves the flop though. He just doesn't know Riverbank has bucket queens. Still wondering if the deal was made or not, or like will it? It was made. Just like, is it made at this point or not? I would imagine that we would see it in the chat. I do block the chat, but I haven't really seen anything going on in the chat regarding to the deal. So Bowie goes ahead and calls. Seven isn't like terrible card to consider leading. Probably not. It's not much of a thing, but like not the worst card. Definitely want to consider it because it connects with your range, your calling range quite well. So Rearbank keeps barreling. Rearbank can definitely have a lot of like 10x, 8x, some 5x. Like, I don't think Bowie can let this one go yet. This is like overcards in general for Riverbank. Oh, the five will probably save Bowie over here. Blank card would have been kind of bad in sense of Riverbank would just rip and Bowie like probably you have to call it off by that point. See, interesting card also to like consider also leading on the river. I think like King 9 makes sense to lead, but like in general, Bowie Jack 9 suited. I'm gonna assume a limp from Bowie. Riverbank and I think you need to raise here sometimes check back. It seems like you've kind of balanced with that. You've been like sometimes raising, like isolating, sometimes not. Bowie flops flush draw. Riverbank backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. Again, I don't think neither player wants like neither player have a range bet here. So whatever you have, you need to bet sometimes and you need to check sometimes in general. There will be some like density of like some hands want to bet more often than other, but like for the most part, it doesn't really matter too much. So Bowie has a decision: does he want to call or does he want to go for a check raise? I think both plays will make both plays will make does make sense. Rearbank turns top pair with a flush draw. Probably want to kind of barrel this, but we can definitely have some 5x, some ace highs with the hearts, and like in general, if I'm a Riverbank, I kind of feel like I want to get some value here. Goes kind of large over here, but we can definitely consider we'll consider jamming in his face. I'm excited. What does Bowie do here? He just called, huh? That's kind of ideal card for Bowie to get bait over here. I think you get to lead. I guess you can get the lead if you think Riverbank doesn't really bluff at this point, but like he will. At least I would expect people to like discard probably fire bluffs. So Riverbank has top due. Definitely goes all in, and Bowie gets double up over here. So stacks are getting more closer and closer. 30, 42, 52. Deal will be bounced after the current hand. Dealing will be bounced after the current hand to discuss a deal. So Riverbank going ahead and raising to 4 big blinds. Pocket fives. Calling makes a lot of sense. Damn, they gonna play. It's already kind of big pot before the dealing starts, right? I don't mind either way with pocket fives. I do think you can probably bet on lower frequency end. Again, you can't really start range betting these type of spots. You don't really have that many like strong hands that you want to range bet. Like blind versus blind spots, there ain't that many range betting spots to be fair, especially with ICM. Wow, and it just gives it up bottom pair, huh? Wish they like I wish they would show us the ICM numbers. I guess like on starts you're just getting ICM, so those are the ICM numbers. So 400 then for Steck and Riverbank probably, and 371 for Bowie, and they will play for 30,000. 25, like typically it's like 25,000 I believe, so must be something along those numbers what they are being shown and offered. Deal is agreed. So now going forward, it's going to be a pure GPV. There is no more ICM involved because only the winner gets money. So GPV is winner takes it all, so to speak. So we'll be continuing momentarily. BBC Brieflop Sharks and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. So GG's for these guys, and we'll continue with 300. They're still going to play about like 25k, 30k. I'm not 100% sure how much the winner will get. Typically, it's about like 25, 30k. Based on the numbers, I'm going to assume it's 30,000. So, pure GPV, Stack limps in. Bowie goes for ISO. I imagine Bowie goes for a very small bet size here. Like bet 1.5, 1. He goes a little bigger. I think Stack can really continue there with Jack 8. Seven 3 suited. Should be just flat over here. A limp. Riverbank going to have a decision though. Probably just ISO. You're happy if Bowie jams. This jamming is gonna have some smaller bears and stuff like that. So just ISO. Bowie lets it go 7-3 suited. Probably should sweep it, I imagine. It is three-handed, so there's less anti, so you defend a little bit tighter in general. Also, Bowie might maybe having a read that Riverbank does not really ISO as much. Like he definitely watches the Poker Stars coverage, and once you watch that, you will see what your opponents play, and maybe he were thinking like, yo, he's not going to bluff enough, so you can let your bottoms go in that case. At least that's how I'm thinking about it. Also, there could definitely be some reads from like final two tables and stuff like that that we did not play see it in the replay. We did not play, so hard to say. Stack opening up with Jack 10 suited. Bowie goes ahead and clicks a call with King 9 suited. Check the no. King 9 suited. 5, 6, 7. I'm going to assume Bowie is going to check here. Stack and bet can check. I don't think it matters too much. Again, this type of spots you can't really range. It's very hard to range bet in stack shoes, and if you can't range bet, then most of your hands will at least a little bit check. Not all of them. There are very few hands that will pure bet, but for the most part, that's how it is. It's just kind of like betting to flop is mostly about finding the correct frequency. So Bowie opens up with Queen Deuce suited on the button. Stack defends Ace 5 suited. Bowie flops the middle pair. Stack has a cut shot and Ace High. Bowie sizes it up to 2/3 and Stack lets it go. Stack opens up with 3-4 suited. I can see Bowie firing a 3-bet there every once in a while. Wow, Stack just flops the flush, huh? Interesting to see how it's going to continue. Just checks. The idea is like if you're out of position player, you're mostly limping your suited hand. But Bowie, if you raise, is mostly calling suited hands, right? So it's not that simple of a spot to start like massively like betting. With 3-4 with a small flush, you're probably looking to check raise here. Check call is fine as well. But because you have small flush, one more spade and your hand is kind of dead, or like gets very dicey. Like you can't win a big pot anymore, kinda. Or like, in order for you to win a big pot means your opponent needs to bluff you, right? So, Ace 9 suited for stack. Bowie goes a call with pocket threes. Bowie checks. Makes sense. The board doesn't really help you a lot more than it helps your opponent, or like good board in general for like it's kind of whatever for both players. Stick fires a small bet. Probably needs to defend this. It's like kind of whatever. You do have like under pair to the board, but you do have a backdoor flush draw, so those probably want to kind of defend. Queen is kind of an action killer for stack, I imagine. So the board didn't change too much. And if board does not change, typically what's happening is like the betting frequency on the turn will go kind of down because you did not improve with your value bet. So your value range remains similar. But because your bluffs didn't improve, on the turn you get to bluff less. So naturally, meaning you're going to bet less on the turn, less frequently. Fires a big bet there with this 9 though. So Bowie opens up with a ace 3-0. Everybody lets it go. River bang with Jack 10 stack with ace jacko. So from the small blind perspective, you like offset hands. Typically, you just want to, you always mix to a three bet. Calling wouldn't be the end of the world, but I do think you mainly just want to three bet this one. Rebank is kind of like, I don't mind either way. I think I'm more leaning towards fold in general, especially with three handed, less antes. It's close. King 10 suited for stack. Power gets out of the way. Rear bank going to defend Queen 9-0. So far, pretty standard. So rainbow board 8-eye, rainbow board, no straights. This means an overbet for imposition player with a like mix of overbet and botting strategy for the most part. You can like on a button your range is so wide you could probably use smaller sizes as well. But that's where like your friend flop range frequencies mostly will go. Mostly want to bet big. So Bowie opens up with an ace king of spades, rear bank folds, and stack defends 8-5-0. Bowie flops flush draw, decides to check. Interesting to play a check range on the flop. It's fine. Like, I do think a lot of people would like to range bet this though. I don't mind that check though. So once the king comes on turn, the stack country like stack betting frequency is very small in these type of spots because king helps way more Bowie's range in general. So Bowie goes with a huge bet over here and takes it down. Six three oh must be a limp, right? That felt a little bit too tight. Basically, you need to VP about 85% of the hands. Three three-handed, not eight-handed. Maybe we can talk about a little bit tighter because less antes, so you're like less incentive to play. But like 6-3-0, I think it's I would be pip. So 5-4 suited for river banked, opening it up to 3.5. Stack with ace 3-0, fires 3 bet. Fine, could call in position as well, but you need to sometimes 3 bet this. Interesting spot for river banked because you have a suited connector. You kind of want to play this. Oh, yoy! I'm gonna assume Stick is going to fire a small C bet over here. If you're Riverbank though, do you just rip it in his face? Because small flush draws that like you kind of play. You rather play straightforward with smaller flush draws. The idea is if the guy has bigger flush draw, it's like if the flush comes, you're gonna get stacked anyways, right? So you're not that worried about it. There are some calling happening still though, but it could be a pure check raise over here. You could go non all in. I think jamming makes also sense. The problem with jamming is like what value hands do you really jam too often? Like non all in sizes in general make more sense. But the stack ratio is kind of small, so I don't mind the jam. I think what he did makes more sense. Yeah. This looks bad for Bowie. Buck tens for stack. Interesting to see if he's going to raise. Yeah, he's raising. As Bowie, you don't mind the three bet getting it in. I'm wondering if he just rips in. Wow, he goes for a goal. That's very interesting. Isn't that like 30 big blinds like get it in? It is three-handed, but like 30 big blinds, really? While they play this hand, I will look it up. Put it on screen as well quickly. I will look at the eight-handed though. Kind of feels like you need to put that one in the middle at 30. So check. Check to the river. Stick hits the set. I'm wondering if Bowie is going to pay him off if he bets. Oh, he bets so small. Ah, if you Bowie, it's just like I just need to call. But I did look it up. Over here, you guys can see it's like against 4x. You're actually supposed to be a little bit jamming and mostly calling, which is interesting. I would have not guessed that we have that much calling happening. But then again, like 4x, the raising happens mostly with like stronger hands in general. So he raises like nines plus and like some suited aces and stuff like that. In those cases, what's going to happen is like, you're not happy if you get called, and for that reason, that's why you need to start calling there with pocket eights more often. So that was my bad. It's always good to check this stuff out. On this stuff. That's how you learn. You look it up, right? Riverbank coming in with limp with ace 9-0, and Steck is going for ISO with ace 10-0. Makes sense. We have limp call. Interesting, both players having a gut shot over here. So Riverbank goes for a check. I'm gonna assume Steck is going to bet. Just the way he's been playing, he is very very C bet happy, I would say. Very like aggressive player. So Riverbank goes ahead and clicks the call. Also, I missed a hand earlier because I was looking it up, I guess, and showing. It happens. What can we do? I'm just interested in the strategies so often. So it's double barrel. Could have used a slightly bigger size, more geometric. Doesn't really matter. Damn, Bowie gets to walk, huh? So stick with King 8-0. It used to fall. I think it's like mostly I think you want to open, but because it's three-handed, I think kind of whatever. Who cares? Bowie goes for limp. Check. Riverbank could definitely fire a bet here. Again, similar, like you sometimes bet, you sometimes check. That's really better. You can pick up a lot of equity on the turns though. So ace should be kind of good card for Bowie because if Riverbank had a lot of like good aces, he would raise them after Bowie limps very often. But Bowie has so many like hands to choose to bluff, doesn't really have to use bear because he's going to have a showdown value, right? Still, is probably like fine using anything else. Like you don't really need to use the bear. Interesting for Riverbank. If he wants to bluff here, he could think like Jack High might actually win. Sometimes, like it's not zero, and just check back, which is probably true to be fair. He should also have quite a bit of bluffs, but 5 is interesting card in sense of like a lot of stuff also hit there as well. Riverbank with pocket deuces goes for a limp. Stick probably raises it up with ace 10-0. Riverbank just going to call here. You're not with pocket deuces. You're not looking to like limp raise and like try to get it in. So big board. Stick is probably just betting and taking it down. Yeah, Stick been very like aggressive with bets in general though. Bets a lot on the flop. Actually, on turns as well. Guy loves to bet. On that board though, everything kind of hits you. So also you have top pair. So Stick goes ahead and limp. Bowie with decision to isolate and check back. Neither option are fine. Whatever he kind of want to use. Stick opens it up. Rear bank defense. Ace-high boards typically for in-position player high frequency bets and people tend to just see better range. Stick sizes it up. Very interesting. More sizing up you do, less likely it is you superior range betting in general. Rear bank we can do so over here. Stickler has a lot of ace-x in these situations, I would say. So rear bank limps. Stick choose to check back. So ace high, king highs, you can pretty much just like try to get to the showdown. There are some betting happening on flops, turns, and rivers, even if you don't hit. But like for the most part, like you have showdown value. You're happy now. If you're stack and you're hitting 8 over here, you're not looking to check it down. You're looking for some value. Goes on the overbets. I think rear bank can continue with king 2 so here though. Rear bank opening up on the bottom with the king 6 suited. Power with ace 9-0. Could mix in a little 3-bet ski. I do think the most action you want to take is call though. So Bowie flops middle pair. Rear bank flops bottom pair. It goes check check. Turn is kind of feels like an action killer for these hands. It's kind of like, hey, let's check it down type of deal now. Both players will be happy to check down. Both players will win certain amount of the time, right? Even if you have king 6, Bowie can definitely have worse 6-6 that likes to check. You're gonna win, so unless Bowie goes ahead and tries to get some small little value here with the 9. Actually, I kind of think I like it. Bet very small. Try to get the calls by worse 9x and 6x, maybe 7s and 8s. There we go. Very nice value bet. I like it. Ace 5-0 opens up. Rear bang with Jack 6-0. Are we going to see defend? Nope. We move on to the next hand. Look at that. Bowie almost like died with river banged and Stick Take has a chip lead now. So river banged, Jack 10-0, slimps. So typically these type of spots, you do isolate a lot of isolate a lot of offsuit hands. But if I remember correctly, you are supposed to be not isolating as much deuce X in general. Like king deuce, ace deuce, oh, those are like on the lower frequency end. You still isolate, it's just a little bit less. Little bit less. But doesn't really matter too much. So Stick goes ahead and bet small. Rear bank goes for check raise. Stick, if you stick, you loving the life. Or well, kind of weird spot because you don't really beat any drips, right? Click, click, click. I'm not sure I like the sizing choice because when you do it with like drips, you wouldn't do it with 8x, so kind of feel like you want the size a little bit bigger, so to speak. This is very interesting turn guard. Is that going to go for like a drappy check now? This is very interesting. Rimbank goes for a check. I think it's mostly bet very small or check. Kind of feel like he wants to bet very small though. Set up the river jam, so to speak. Even though you can just pot jam, not a problem. Yeah, he goes trappy trappy. If you're a riverbank and you took this line, this makes a lot of sense to actually bet very small because you're gonna end up having some 8x here quite often, I would say. And stick if he like, that's the thing with trappy he plays with over here. You might think like he in position player will have often a queen, and if that's going to be checked, it's not that simple to bet. So he goes for a small bluff. Uh, Aztec, you probably want to still jam. Hope 8 will call you. I think you can get ever a pulse from queen. But 8x will be kind of on in a tough spot. Yeah, let's use some time bank. Try to figure out what we're doing. We have a top boat, like very typical, so to speak. In if you play a big final table, or like in general, like you want to use time bank, there will be some spots where you're maybe not that certain. I definitely like to take some time on those spots. Even doesn't really matter what I have. I just use the time bank, but I will identify very quickly if it's a spot where like I'm not really sure all about all the parts of my range. So okay, let's take let the time bank run, so to speak, right? That would be actually one of them. Obviously, if you have a boat, like you, not that difficult in general, but if you were trying to bluff that spot, right? What are your bluffs? What is your opponent bluffs? What's the blockers, right? So you do want to spend some time figuring that out. So rear banked opening with ace king go. Bowie defends the big blind. Bowie flop the bottom pair. Rear bank turn top pair. So pretty standard hand. So the blinds will go up. So looks like the finish line is near. Stick opens up with ace 5-0. If you're Bowie, you're probably looking to like 3-bet get it in here. I think you want to jam. Like, wouldn't be the end of the world, but I kind of feel like you want to go non all in and get it in. Yeah, that's what Bowie's going for here. Kind of weird spot for stick once Bowie's size is kind of small, but you still have to let it go. If you think Bowie might be out of line, maybe click. Try try some fancy stuff. Rear bang with Queen Jacko. Goes for a limp. Stick. Should ISO. Should check back. So flop goes check check. Another 9. If you river bang, you kinda like there is some showdown value with the queen high. On a 7 though, you definitely don't mind checking it down. If you're stacked with the 10, I don't know, bro. I don't know if you I guess you can still have some splits, so to speak. I don't know, maybe you still want to bluff that. I'm not 100% sure of that. King 3-0 for Bowie. Either like probably you need to defend this by 3-betting or calling. Rear banged flops open like gotcha, 2 overs, Bowie, backdoor flush draw. That's about it for Bowie. So I imagine it's gonna be bet fold or check. So Bowie can definitely start attacking with King 3 over here. Attack those weak checks or like hands like Queen Jack, so to speak. Like hands that have decent equity, some ace highs. If you're rear bang, I don't think it matters too much. Sometimes you want to bet, sometimes you want to check, bluff on the river, so to speak. Stick with ace deuce O. Interesting fold. I don't mind. Like I think ace deuce O exactly on the button, especially is a fold, especially without antis or like three-handed. There's still antis, just less. So rear bank with pocket queens, Bowie with 980, goes with limp. Rear bank definitely wants to start building the bot over here, so I imagine we're gonna see some type of ISO. There we go. I think Bowie can let go 980. Pretty standard to defend over here. I think you want to go all in though. You can go all in if you think your opponent's always fault though. Doesn't even have to be always, but like higher frequency than they should. So ace five deuce. Not ideal flop for bucket queens. Goes ahead and small bets. Bowie either wants to fold here or check raise, I think. You have backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw with 9-8. So check raising could make sense. See what Bowie comes up with. The problem with check raise over here is like you're not gonna have that many ace-X, right? So the value range is very like narrow, so to speak. So Bowie goes ahead and does check raise over here. But yeah, like Bowie's problem will be like very little like value bets, so it's easy to over bluff this spot to be fair. Now what? Now what? Are you going to just rip it in, Bowie? Wow. The problem is English player can have flushes. He can have still some ace-X. You're not like loving life. You can also give up, like because your range did like your bluffs did not every like there is no range betting on the turn as out of position player here, so you're gonna need to have some give ups. So you can give this one up if you want. You can't bluff every single turn here. Man, is Bowie going to put it in here? I think he's going to put it in here. Man, it's just 8 people though. Is Rearbank just like calling it down? Yeah, he's putting it in. Holy moly. It's a very small bet though. Tough spot. Tough spot if you have queens. I kind of feel if you have queens over here, it's kind of like pretty high up on your range because a lot of a6 will probably rip on the flop as well. You do have flushes. You do have some strong a6 play like that. Probably no straights though. I guess 6-7 would take this line. Doesn't isolate all the time pre-flop though. Yeah, tough spot. Tough spot. That's it's Bowie who does this. Ugh. Wow, he finds the call. What a call, hey? Interesting line from Bowie as well. I kind of feel like I will probably have given up on the turn. I don't mind the triple off though. You do need like if you bet the turn, you need on that run out. You probably just need to pretty much always fire the river. Maybe not always, but kind of higher frequency. So it's more the question if he can, if he should be checking on the turn. I think, and I don't mind either way. Like he has decent blockers for blocking a6, so I don't think it matters too much. To be fair, sometimes your bluffs just don't work. Stack opens up the pocket deuces. Probably with king 6-0. Don't think it matters too much. I would probably let it go. It's 4 or 5, maybe 5. Yeah, it kind of feels very close. Probably still a fold. It's probably like king nine you're gonna put in, right? So should be around king 8, king 9, where what you're looking for. A little bit comes down to how wide do you think the stack is opening as well, because you don't have fold equity, right? So Another blinder's blind, rear banged with gut shot. Back to flush draw. Stick with a middle bear. Double gut shot for river banged. Stick didn't too bad. If I'm river bang, I wouldn't really mind to go very large here now. You can go for a check, but like I kind of feel like very large. Folding a six there to a large bet size though, I don't know. I will. I think I'm gonna assume it's you need to defend. At least it's not 100% fold. So not yeah. Queen deuce suited. Bowie with Jack trio. Like this bot sucks in general. Like I think Bowie's going to let it go. I think he's going to run this one. Yeah. Pocket threes. Ugh. This one, Bowie will probably get in. Interesting spot for Riverbank. Does he want to like raise here? Or does he want to like call? I'm kind of more in a camp. You kind of want to raise. You kind of want stick out of the way. Keep in mind, you're playing chip PV. All you care is to win the most chips. And stick limping like that. I'm more in a camp like you probably just want to fire a 3-bet there. And isolate stick and play against Bowie. So GG Bowie, nothing he can do. He will be eliminated. On third place for 372,000 US dollars. GG bro. Not a bad score. Not a bad score. BBC Brieflop Sharks and Trainer. The most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. So we're gonna have a heads-up match. Riverbank with 54 beaks, 55 beaks, kind of equalish. So going to be a kind of grind, I guess. With 50 beak lines, can go fast. Like one thing with heads-up is like even if you 100 beak lines, it can go super fast. Like just takes few hands and like you're done. GG's. Also, it can be super slow. So we'll see what happens over here. So we're bang thinking about it. Should you bluff it? Zero equity bluff? Like, can't beat anything. You can beat board. You can make your opponent fold and win. That's what you do if you have 5 high. Hey, boys and girls. So stick opens up. Typically 50 big blinds, I believe you want to use like 2.2, 2.5x RFIs. Whenever you're deeper, you do use like a bigger RFI size by default. Just like a small thing. Doesn't really matter too much though. So stick opens it up with a small bet on the flop. So King 8-0 for Riverbank. Stick with a 6-2-0. Riverbank goes for limp. Fine. Check on the flop. Stick with the full house. Just trying to trap. Trap. Makes a sense to try to trap on an ace because Riverbank is very like if you think what Riverbank is going to check back the flop, it will be kinda ace highs, right? So Stick just tries to for Riverbank to bluff it as well. Takes it down. King deuce. Oh, again at 50 big blinds, you can also like you should have limping range. You should have raising range. Typically, I would assume I would personally just go 2.5x by default. Add 50 big blinds and deeper. 850, a limp. King 10 can raise. I don't think it matters too much in general. 3.7 big blinds. I think if I remember correctly, you're going to have in these type of spots, very like you're gonna have this like multiple raise sizes actually, where you can like you limp for you raise like 3 big blinds, like 5 big blinds, and then like 8, 9, or 10 big blinds in these type of spots. That is like GTO how a solver would play that spot where you have a multiple bet sizing sizes used as a ISO. So you go very small, like kind of smallish, then you go in the medium, like 5, 6 big blinds, then you go like 8, 9, or 10 big blind, very polar range, so to speak. So this looks like a bluff to me. Overbet. Hard to see Riverbank to let go. You have a top pair in heads up, right? It's very difficult to let your top pairs go. But hey, seeing how aggressive. Oh, it didn't follow up, huh? I was just about to say, like, seeing how aggressive uh, Stick has been, you would kind of imagine like he's going to fire through quite a bit there on the river. So another limp bot, same hand, different positions. So the guy who bets in position takes it down. Ace 3-0 for Riverbanked, Buck Jacks for Stack. So if you're Riverbanked, you should probably fire up a little 3-bet scary now and then. Stack goes ahead and bets very small on this board. Tries to get some value. Ace 3-0 just defends. So if you're Stack, you're probably double barreling with your jacks over here. And the idea is if Riverbank had a queen, he would probably check raise quite a bit. Not all of them, but quite a bit with the queen X. So your jacks are actually kind of fine-ish. Like get value from some 10x, maybe some 5x still call, maybe turn some 8x. You do lose to queen X, but like his range, like out of position range should still be wide enough, and there should be enough hands you're going to get value from. So 10-5-0 for Stack, limping in. Rear bank, 5-3 suited. Are we going to see ISO, 5x ISO? There we go. Jack 8-0 for rear banked. Jack 7 suited. So rear bank the flops and cut shot. Not much for Stack, so I'm gonna imagine Stack's going to let this one go. So stick with 8-7-0. Opens it up to min raise. Rearback probably still wants to defend this. Firing maybe a 3-bet every now and then wouldn't be the end of the world either. Stick goes ahead and small bets the middling pair, takes it down. Not much happening there. Very simple poker, so to speak. Rearbank with King 7-0. Like, I kind of feel like Riverbank is not racing enough. Like, yeah, you're gonna have a limping range, but like, unless he thinks like, hey, there is something going on with limping note that he can like take advantage of, I do think you still need to. Half of the time you want to VP, you should be racing probably at this depth. So speaking check to the river with Riverbank with a king high, stack with pair of sixes. Stack probably looks for value. Very big value bet though. Very big value bet. I'm not sure I like that size. I don't mind the value bet. I just like Riverbank can still have like better 6x. And for that reason, that's why I'm kind of like, I'm not sure if that's like good size. Wow, he pays it off with King High. What do I know, hey? But yeah, it's kind of feel like because because Riverbank can have better 6-6, it kind of feels like you should be a little bit like slightly smaller, like 2/3 maybe. So Riverbank with 8-3-0, just lets it go. So they still basically they play and play and play, and they still the same stack. Nothing changed so far, pretty much. Some chips exchanged to one way and another way, and then one back to other guys. So kind of 50-50 here. So 7-4 suited, limps on the button, Jack 9-0, checks it back, flop goes check check. Uh, do you want to bet if you're 7 here? Like, it's not the end of the world. Ace 9 suited. So the big problem when I said like Riverbank should like raise is like if you have a strong hand, you really need to get value, and you're not gonna get value by always limping. And like it's very hard for your high equity hands or like strong hands to get all the money in if you don't ever raise, right? Like sure there can be lines like you limp, other guy raise, you re-raise, whatever, but for the most part like you kind of want to build the bot straight away. Like they are like even if you're a Riverbank, you are supposed to be limping like aces and kings and queens as a mix pre-flop, but like it's still like bro, you need to start raising it up a little more often. Like I'm not a heads up expert by any means, but like it just feels a little weak in general. Unless there is like maybe he has some reads on how he can play those limp lines more profitably by exploiting something or whatever. But hard to see. Hard to see. In MTTs, you don't really play the same guys in heads up matches unless like if you play high stakes or like not even high stakes, very small fields. There are some games even like if you play mid stakes, you see the same regs, and then maybe you get to have some type of sample between two of you. Now with Pocket Fives randomly starts raising. I guess he heard me. Stake, unfortunately, for Riverbank has Pocket Queens. Is this going in? I would like to see a little bit bigger, probably 3-bet from stack here with Queens. I don't think it's gonna get in. I think Riverbank is just going to go ahead and call. Wow, does jam it. Wow. I think that's it. GG. Wow. Wow, wow, wee, wow. GG's. Congrats to Stack for winning it for almost $500,000. GG Riverbank for second place, $210. And if you guys want to see the more of these replays, click somewhere on the screen and I see you around.